Hi guys. So today, so today we'll see about generics. Okay. Yeah. Now been. Okay. Okay, guys. Let's see generics in Java part one. Okay. So, what is the idea behind generics is to allow any type. So, to allow any type like integer, string, etc., to be passed as a parameter to a method, class, or an interface. Generally, when you're writing a program, you initially write what a method or a class or an interface is expecting. Like you can write something like this. You write int of fun, int of a comma, something like this, int b, right? But if you want to allow any type other than integers, then we are going to use generics. Then using generics, we can create classes that work with different data types. Okay. So using generics, we can create classes that work with different data types. So you can work with integer, string, char, or anything using generics. An entity such as a class, an entity such as a class, interface, or method that operates on a parameterized type is called as generic entity. So what is a generic entity is an entity such as a class or interface or method that operates on a parameterized type is called as generic entity. Okay. Now let's see what it was before generics. So before generics, suppose we want to create an array list to store integers or strings or custom objects, then we are going to have something like this: private object list object array. And in order to get something, we are going to use int of I. And in order to add something, we are going to use object of I. Now, what is the issue with the above code? In the list, any object can be stored. There is no error checking, as object is a superclass of all classes. So what is happening in the previous code was, in the list you are just writing object. If you see this, in the list you are just writing object, and it is an array of objects, right? Therefore anything can be stored. Why? Because object is a superclass of anything, right? So as an object in a is a superclass of all other classes, anything can be stored. For example, it can be a list of strings or integers. Anything can be stored. The method returns an object. No typecasting is done. So the method simply returns an object and there is no typecasting which is going to be done. Advantages of generics. So what are the advantages of generics is? So a generic is like this. A generic can hold anything, right? It is like a mug. It can hold tea, milk, or coffee. It can hold anything. It is just like a cup, right? An example without generic. For example, if you write like this, public static int square root of int a returns square of int a, public static int square of int a return a into a. What are the issues with the above code? The above code works only with integer. It does not work with long or float or double. How to make it work for all the types? How to make it work for all the number types? Now, the generic solution. So you are going to write public static t extends number double generic method square ta, right? So what is it doing? So it is saying that t is any type that extends number, right? And the input can be of any t. So t can be integer or it can be double or it can be anything, right? And it is returning a value of double. Don't think that the return type of the uh, method is t. The return type of the method is not t. Okay. The return type of double is not t, right? So here writing t extends number in this less than greater than is saying that whatever t is here, that is some data type which extends number, right? So which could be integer or float or character, not character, only numbers, integer or float or double. Okay. And finally, we are trying to find out the square of 4.3. It will accept it and it will give you the output. So the T in the method signature implies generic type and the less than greater than is known as diamond operator. When you are writing like this, it is known as diamond operator. Diamond operator usually encloses generic types. Note the two ways function is invoked here. There are two ways the function is invoked. Generic type T is used with arguments passed. It is also used with return types. Advantages of generic programming. So what are the many advantages of generic programming? So it allows writing the code that can be reused for objects of different types. So basically reusing the code, and it handles multiple types. So this is the main thing, right? We can handle multiple types, and the program is easier to read and it is safer. And we can safely typecast and check errors. Compiler ensures the correctness of such types. This was introduced in Java 5. And generic methods. Generic methods can be called with arguments of different types. Generic methods have a type parameter. So generic methods can be called with arguments of different types. Different types means once you can call it with integer, and next time you can call it with a double, next time you can call it with float. And generic methods can have a type parameter. So it will have a type parameter which can be replaced by actual type later. Type parameter means t. Now if you see this is the generic method. Why? Because you are not saying what is the type of this G data. You are simply saying that it is t. For now, we are not saying any type. We are simply saying that it is t. So in the syntax, you have to write it. Okay. In the diamond, you have to write the generic type. And later, you can pass anything to it. Okay. For example, here, later, you are passing a string called Java programming, and it will simply print you passed Java programming. That's it. And you can also pass a number, and it will simply print you passed number, right? You passed Java programming, you passed 25, right? So if you see it clearly, we are not saying what the type of t is. We are not saying what the type of t is, right? And t can be anything. Once you are passing a string, and the other time you are passing a number. So in the signature we have used t. Is that a return type? No, it is not a return type. But we still need to mention t, because otherwise it would result in compilation error. So whenever you are using generics, you are supposed to write it. Internally, t gets replaced by type used in the function call. Whenever you use something in the function call, it gets replaced. Okay. Then why t? Why not some other letter? Why are we using the letter? Why are we using the letter t, or here? Why are we using the letter t? So it is by convention. So we are using it by convention. So what I mean by convention is that Oracle. So now Oracle owns Java, right? So Oracle has certain conventions. So conventions are like this: T is for type, E is for element, K is for key, N is for number, V is for value. Then generic method example, middle element. Now if you see this here, if you see this here, we have middle element which is having T generic type, and its return value is also T. It is returning T and it is getting the argument as T, right? Now it returns the middle value of an element of any type. So the array can be of any type. It returns the minimum value, middle value. How? It is simply getting the array length dot by 2, which means the middle one, and it is simply returning it. Now the use of generic type t at three places in the function argument, you can see that in the function argument, in the return type, and in the diamond operator, you can see that it is used 3 times. Okay. Now the next one is the following generic valid? Is the following generic method valid? So check the generic method. So we have a class. Inside the class I have generic method sum. I have t a t b, and I have written t here, and it is returning a double. Now a dot double value and b dot double value is called. Will this cause a problem? Right? Yes, this will cause a compiler error. Why is it causing a compiler error? Because the problem is that you don't know what is the type of t here. What is the type of t? You are saying that it should always have the method double value. The double value is applicable only for numbers, but what if it is a string, right? Therefore, it is giving you compiler error, right? So each and every API method used inside the generic method should be available for all the types T. That is why we go for something called as bounded types. So bounded means we are restricting. So we can restrict the types that can be accepted by a method. Okay. Now this type parameters specify a superclass from which all the type arguments must be derived. This is done using extends keyword t extends superclass. Thus, superclass defines an inclusive upper class. For example, what I mean here is I am saying that t is not any generic type. T actually extends number. By saying like this, you can only have the certain number of data types to be assigned to t. Now t can be assigned only integers or floats or doubles. Okay. Now, for example here, generic method sum t a comma t b. Here t can take either integer or double or float. Now see this. What is the output? So 3 comma 5 are passed, and they both are added with sum, and then it is returned as double. So what is the output? The output will not be 8. The output will be a compilation error. Why is it a compilation error? The error is required t comma t found string comma string, right? So it is actually expecting a number, but you are sending a string. So if you see this here, you are sending like this 3 5. That is why it is a problem. You are sending a string, right? So guys, there is a small announcement. So on May 30th, we are having combat at 11 a.m. So this is India's largest weekly competition for GATE, and you can access your GATE preparation. You can assess your GATE preparation in 60 minutes. It is challenging and original content curated by best educators. Take it live to compete with the best, and it is super fast and fun with All India Live leaderboard. Identify and improve your weak areas through detailed video solutions. So if you get ranks 1 to 3, you will get 100% scholarship for 1 year. If you get 4 to 10, you are going to get 75% off on the Unacademy Plus subscription. And if you get from 11 to 50, you are going to get 50% off on Unacademy Plus scholarship. And if you get from 51 to 100, you are going to get 25% off on the Unacademy Plus subscription. And coming to Master Blasters test series, we are doing 10,000 practice questions. Everyone is doing 10,000 practice questions in various departments. All the faculty together are doing 10,000 questions in the free live classes on an academic platform. Anyone can participate in that. And on Unacademy Flex channel, there is Utkarsh going on. YouTube sessions are on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have basic concepts, intermediate concepts, and advanced concepts. And on Monday, there is knowledge fight, and on Tuesday, there is tests. And a new batch for GATE Computer Science has started, is going to start on 26th of May. The new batch is starting from 26th of May, which means tomorrow, right? So if you want to join, you can join right away. We are all teaching in the batch. Okay. And if you are planning to join for GATE on Unacademy, you can join in either in Plus or Iconic. In Plus, you get all the live classes, crash courses, weekly tests, doubt clearing session, English and Hindi batches. And in Iconic, you are going to get all my recorded content. And along with that, you are going to get a personal coach, study planner, study booster sessions, personalized test analysis, dedicated doubt clearing instructors, and preparatory study material. You are going to get all this. In Plus for 12 months, the fee is 27,000 if you use the code RRCS. Only if you use the code RRCS, you are going to get 10% discount, and the fee will be 27,225. In Iconic, the fee for 12 months is 45,235, 225. If you use the code RRCS, you are going to get 10% discount. Okay. Got it? And this is my Telegram channel. You can join me on Telegram as well. And the next one is imposing multiple restrictions on the bounded types. So you can have multiple restrictions on the bounded types. Okay. So like classes and interfaces can both be bound one class and one interface. Class type must be specified. Use of ampersand. Ampersand creates an intersection type. T is bounded by class name and interfaces. Before looking at the example, let's look at some comparable objects. Okay. Now here, if you see the example, there is public static T extends number and comparable, and then T is nothing but generic which extends number and comparable, and min array is something like this. Okay, and then we have the entire method, and here we are calling min array with an array, and here again we are calling min array with an array. Okay, the output is, it is finding out the minimum. Here the minimum is 3, and here also, here the minimum is 1.2. Yeah, 1.2. It is finding out the array minimum. And generic class, a class with one or more type variables is called as generic class. Underlying concept remains the same. Okay, so for example, a class can also be generic. Okay, string container class. So basically, let us say we have a string item and then get set and get items. Now instead of the string, you can also have a generic. So instead of a string, T, the T can be anything. You can have T can be anything. And using generic container classes. So for example, in the previous example, you can send a string, or you can send an integer, and then you can get an integer, right? So the output is going to be whatever you have sent, and you get. Explicit diamond operator. So what is diamond operator? If I write like this is explicit diamond operator. Okay, so see here, you are writing here string, it means that you are talking about string. Here you are writing about integer, it means that the type is integer. That is the meaning of it. So can we determine the type of instance at the runtime? Yes. So instance dot get class dot get name. So for example, see this, we have a class which is having a generic, it is a generic class T, and TA, which means A is not known, and then we have a constructor, and then we have show type. Show type is saying A dot get class dot get name, and then system dot out dot println, type is plus S, and public class show type name, system dot static dot public static void main strings. So type name string, which means we are trying to pass a string, and we are trying to pass an integer to the class type name, and we are trying to see what is the object str dot show type. So what is its type? Here it is string, and here it is integer. Let us see what is the output. So it is saying integer and string. Therefore, we can know the type. Classes with multiple types. So we can have a generic class with multiple types. For example, you can have classes with s two types, s comma t, not a problem, right? st. Later we can decide what that s and t can be. Okay. So here you are seeing that the s and t are integer and string, and here string and boolean, not a problem. You can decide them later. You can have multiple types also. Okay. And we have wildcard in generics. Now, when the type is unknown or can vary, wildcard is there. Wildcard is used. So what is wildcard? Question mark is wildcard. When the type is unknown, then we can use wildcard. So type parameter is replaced by question mark. Wildcards can be used as type parameter, field, return type, or local variable. Types of wildcard are upper bounded wildcards, lower bounded wildcards, unbounded wildcards. And let's see one by one. Now, upper bounded wildcards like this: public static double, list sum, list number, double sum equal to 0 for the number, all the numbers in the list, sum equal to sum plus x dot double, return sum. Now what are the issues of this particular code? The issues is it works only for number type. It does not work for integer or, so if you see this, it is a list of numbers, right? It works only for numbers. It does not work with integer, double, float. Okay. The reason is integer is a subclass of number, but list is not a subclass of list. List of integer is not a subclass of list of number. Okay. Now what is the solution? We are going to use upper class while class, upper bounded while class. So what is upper bounded while class is, if I write like this, question mark extends number, it means that it can be anything that extends number, right? So that is why you are able to send integers and you are able to send float, double, or you can send anything. Okay. Upper bound canvas example. For example, here let us say we have canvas which is having draw, and we have triangle which extends canvas which is having draw, and circle that extends canvas which is having draw, and square that extends canvas which is having draw. Now wildcard, upper bound wildcard example looks like this. A question mark extends canvas, which means it can be anything that extends canvas. That is the meaning of it. Okay. Now if you observe it, you can call triangle, you can call circle, you can call square, right? So in this you are calling a triangle, circle, or square in the wildcard without worrying about the exact type, right? So all of them have draw, that is why we are not worrying. and we have lower bounded wildcards. So lower bounded wildcards is, the problem is, write a method to add numbers to a list of integer type. So we want to add integers only, but a number can hold integers. Number is a superclass of integers. Object can hold integers, right? Therefore, lower bounded lower bounded wildcards are used to achieve this. So let's see with an example what is lower bounded wildcard. So see this. So we want to add, so here if you observe, question mark super integer, which means this question mark can be replaced with anything for which integer can be a superclass, right? Therefore, if you see this, add numbers is called on object list, integer list, and a number list, right? Unbounded wildcard. So the wildcards without any upper or lower bound is called as unbounded. So it is specified using the wildcard character question mark. So unbounded wildcards are specified using question mark. Okay. So consider the following code. Now we have the code public static void show, so which is used to show a list for object x system.out.println x, right? So let us see, if you call the above function that with the list of integer, then what will be the output? So there will be a compiler error because the list of integers is not a subtype of list of objects. Then how to correct it? We are going to use an unbounded wildcard. Okay. So what is an unbounded wildcard here? So we are going to say that the list of anything L, the list question mark L. So this is going to take any object, right? So you can also see what is the type of it, like by get class dot get name. Okay. So thank you guys.